Hey everyone, me Kevin here with updates on what went down with the 16-member bipartisan call on Sunday regarding a stimulus between the White House and bipartisan lawmakers. Here's what we learned. First, the Associated Press reported that Biden's $1.9 trillion relief package is facing increasing headwinds to win bipartisan support. Lawmakers on the right questioned the, quote, wisdom for racking up bigger budget deficits, per the Associated Press, while those on the left say screw what the bipartisan efforts are, let's just get the money spigot flowing. Senator Angus King, an independent, says that the opening talks were a serious effort and, quote, if they were just trying to jam this through, I don't think they would have interrupted the Packers game, aka saying, I don't think Democrats are just trying to do 51 votes and we're done. It sounds like they actually are trying to get bipartisan support here. We also heard King say there is, quote, absolute consensus that the number one priority is speeding up the distribution of vaccines and expanding COVID testing and tracing. Then talks about breaking up the package came up, that is, having sort of smaller individual bills. And the president has been asked about this before, but this also brings up, well, Joseph Robinette Biden, which is our reminder to get 4 free stocks with Robinhood. Yep, Robinhood is giving everyone who uses the special link down below 4 totally free stocks. And you don't even have to deposit a dime of money. So even if you don't know what stocks are or how to get started with stocks, you could literally get 4 stocks for free by doing nothing other than clicking the link down below, linking your Robinhood with any bank account you have. It doesn't have to be your primary, it could be any bank account. And you get 1 free stock within a day and 3 more on February 1st. The deal or link down below does expire at the end of this month, so use that before you forget to use it. Again, the link is down below, or go to metkevin.com/Robinhood. But anyway, back to Biden. When it comes to breaking up the stimulus package into smaller parts, the White House was ultimately unwilling to budge today in negotiations. The White House also refused to reduce the overall size of the bill, while at the same time still pushing for bipartisan support. Now, despite this pressure from the White House, Senator Shaheen says, quote, no red lines were drawn today, but there is a lot of talk going on about stimulus being, quote, more targeted. The Washington Post defined this targeted talk as specifically referring to the $1,400 stimulus checks, potentially limiting those $1,400 stimulus checks to a smaller group of people. We've heard something similar to this back in September and October when Mitch McConnell was suggesting this, but now we're hearing this talk about limiting the $1,400 checks coming up more and more and more. This pisses off some people who are like, come on, it was supposed to be a $2,000 check. Now we're talking $1,400. Now we're talking about an even more limited $1,400. But anyway, the particular senator here, Senator Shaheen, then goes on to say that the conversation was very bipartisan and that everyone in the group seemed to agree that the goal was to help the American people and there were no lines drawn in the sand. Senator Susan Collins, a Republican, for example, says that we just need more data to justify these expenses, and it sounds like we might be able to make a compromise. Senator Joe Manchin says that it was an important call, and Senator King says that, look, this isn't monopoly money. This is money that we're borrowing from our grandchildren. Now, others disagree with this. They say, no, this is actually not money we are borrowing from our grandchildren, because if we build a stronger, better economy now with whatever debt we have to use now, then we'll end up having less debt in the future, a stronger economy in the future, and we don't end up screwing ourselves out with a lack of spending now when we need it. The White House also says that they're going to keep pushing. Despite arguments on both sides, they are going to keep pushing, and Biden is still preferring a bipartisan effort, even if it means it's going to take more time. And after all, this effort is going to take a lot of work. You've got folks like Mitt Romney once again complaining about debt spending, saying, quote, if we get beyond COVID, I believe that the economy is going to come roaring back. He then went on to say that we shouldn't be borrowing trillions of dollars from China. It's worth noting, by the way, that as of October 15th, 2020, China only owns about 4% of our national debt. So while it's common to think that China owns a lot of our national debt, the fact is Americans hold most of America's debt, and so do American businesses in the form of U.S. Treasury bonds. Now, while many on the call today seemed, well, Sunday, depending on when you're watching this, seemed hopeful, Senator Bernie Sanders was a little bit more aggressive. Bernie Sanders believes that we have to use the 51-vote option to slam the stimulus package through. Bernie Sanders said, well, by the way, before he said, Bernie Sanders is going to be the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, which is worth noting because he's going to have a lot of power. And he says, you know what? Screw this. Slam this package through. Forget what the Republicans are saying. Slam it through as large as it needs to be and get it done. The Washington Post then gathered some more insight and found that Susan Collins is demanding that relief maybe be targeted to those making less than $150,000, and maybe then we can come to a consensus on putting together a deal, saying there's no reason that families with $300,000 of income should be receiving any additional stimulus money. Now, so far, it does seem like there are going to be potentially concessions from both sides, and that these middle-of-the-road discussions are going to keep going. Now, perhaps that means more targeted stimulus, but there could be some good news with more targeted stimulus as well. If we get more targeted stimulus, maybe that means those making lower incomes would actually be able to get larger stimulus payments. We'll see. This is just talk for now. Now, another thing that we can do to get a little bit more insight into this is let's listen in to what Bernie Sanders had to say on the CNN Situation Room. And I know both of these are leaning a little bit left, potentially far left, but it's worth noting just to see because Bernie Sanders is, again, the chairman of the Senate Budget Finance Committee, and this could be important. So let's listen in, let's see what they have to say, and let's see what insights we can glean and comment on. Here we go.
Joining me now is Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Senator. And you've said that Joe Biden is off to a good start. Some of your progressive colleagues want him to do more. For example, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants him to forgive student loan debt. Congresswoman Cori Bush wants bigger direct payments to Americans. Congressman Jamal Bowman called for a more progressive cabinet. Are they right?
Look, we're going to push Joe as the president as far as we can. But given the fact that he's been in office for less than a week, I think he is off to a good start. What we have got to do is recognize that right now we're living in an unprecedented moment in American history. You got the pandemic, you got an economic collapse, we got climate change, we got a crumbling infrastructure. And what we have we have millions of people working for starvation wages. And what we have got to do is roll up our sleeves and fight for the agenda that working people throughout this country want. They want to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. They want that direct payment of $1,400 on top of the $600. We've got to do that. They understand that during the midst of the healthcare crisis, we cannot have millions of people.
I just want to mention there, it is interesting that even Bernie Sanders is suggesting $1,400 on top of $600. Well, there is virtually zero. I certainly haven't seen it. There's virtually, well, I shouldn't say I haven't seen it. There's virtually zero actual discussion happening about $2,000 checks. And the reason I say virtually is because you do have people like AOC going, no, $2,000 means $2,000. But there are a lot of people that are basically countering AOC going, come on, you're just saying that to be political. You know what Joe Biden meant. He meant finish the job because $600 was a down payment. Others are saying, no, she's right. $2,000 is $2,000. Anyway, we'll keep going.
People being thrown out of their houses or lack health care. So we have an enormous amount of work. Then you throw in impeachment. You throw in the need to get Biden's nominees confirmed. It's a lot of work that has to be done, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and do it.
So you've suggested that Democrats might need to use a process called reconciliation, which requires only 51 votes instead of the 60 to pass the coronavirus relief plan. You just heard Mitt Romney say that Republicans like him have shown that they are ready to compromise. So should Democrats move to pass coronavirus relief with 51 votes if they can't get Republican support, say, before the impeachment trial?
Well, I don't know what the word compromise means. I know that working families are living today in more economic desperation than since the Great Depression. And if Republicans are willing to work with us to address that crisis, welcome, let's do it. But what we cannot do is wait weeks and weeks and months to go forward. We have got to act now. That is what the American people want. Now, as you know, reconciliation, which is a Senate rule, was used by the Republicans under Trump to pass massive tax breaks for the rich and large corporations. It was used as an attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And what we are saying is, you use it for that, that's fine. We're going to use reconciliation, that is 50 votes in the Senate plus the vice president, to pass legislation desperately needed by working families in this country right now. You did it, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it to protect ordinary people, not just the rich and the powerful.
And what's your timeline on that?
That's actually a big statement right there, and I'm interested to hear what this timeline obviously is. But he's making a very clearly political statement. He's saying, "Look, y'all did it. It's our turn. We're gonna slam dunk stimulus with it." Let's listen to the timeline.
As soon as we possibly can. Look, Donna, I know these are crazy times. We've got a new president in. We're dealing with the horrors of this pandemic, which also have got to be addressed immediately. We have not done a good job in producing the amount of vaccine that we need and certainly getting it into the arms of people.
Do you want it done before the impeachment trial starts?
We got to do everything. I mean, this is not, you don't have the time to sit around, weeks on impeachment and not get vaccines into the arms of people. You don't have time to worry about vaccines and not deal with the fact that children in America are going hungry. We got to break through this old approach that the Senate takes years and years to do anything. We got a crisis right now. We can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. The American people are hurting, and they want us to act. That's what our candidates ran for in this election. That's what the guys in Georgia won on. And we have got to reaffirm the faith of the American people in government that we can respond to their pain.
You mentioned that
It is true. The guys in Georgia did run on $2,000 checks. Let's see what Dan asks now.
Republicans have used the so-called reconciliation process before, like in 2017, to try to kill Obamacare. You accused them of abusing the process back then. You said, quote, "The function of reconciliation is to adjust federal spending and revenue, not to enact major changes in policy." But you alluded to this. You are the chairman of the Budget Committee, or going to be. You are already talking about using this tactic for things like paid family and medical leave, for universal pre-K and childcare, for climate change, tuition-free college, eliminating student debt, and the $15 minimum wage. How is that not what you criticize Republicans for doing?
Got him. Let's see how he replies.
Well, the devil is in the details of what we want to do and when we want to do it and when we have to do it. What we are talking about, by the way, are two separate reconciliation packages. Number one, the emergency one right now.
Right.
Get direct checks, get those checks into people's pockets right now so they can feed their families. And make sure that people are not evicted from their homes. Make sure that states have the funds they need to get vaccines into people's arms. That's what we've got to do right now. And then as soon as that is done, we have to rebuild this economy. Unemployment is much, much too high. Wages are much, much too low. There are structural problems that we have ignored for years. Climate change is a reality.
And you're okay doing all of that through this process that you criticize Republicans for using? These are major policy changes.
These are major policy changes, but the devil is in the details. And I criticize Republicans, for using reconciliation to give tax breaks to billionaires, to create a situation where large profitable corporations now pay zero in federal income taxes.
I mean, he dug himself out of that pretty decently. I mean, I think if you're a Republican, you're like, no, the guy crazy. But if you're a Democrat, you're like, okay, I mean, like he's mounting a defense here. It is a little, it's a little hypocritical, right? A little bit. You're like, come on, man. You were making fun of them for using 51, and now you're saying you could use 51. But he's painting the argument differently. He's basically saying, but sure, I was mad at them for using 51 because they were giving bailouts to big corporations, is his argument. I want to use 51 votes to help the American people, and therefore my way's okay. Pretty much what he's saying. Obviously, very politically divisive.
Yes, I did criticize them for that. And if they want to criticize me for helping to feed children who are hungry or senior citizens in this country who are isolated and alone and don't have enough food, they can criticize me. I think it's the appropriate step forward.
If Democrats don't pass these sweeping changes you're talking about, do you think that they will lose control of the House and Senate in 2022?
That's what history tells us. What history tells us is that when Clinton won in 92, 2 years later, the Democrats didn't do as much as they should have. They got swept out by the Republicans. Obama won in 2008, 2010. Republicans decimated them at the polling booths. Look, Donna, this is not complicated stuff. We're in an unprecedented moment in American history. Tens of millions of people are hurting. People are watching this program, do not have food in their cupboards to feed their kids. They are sick. They cannot afford to go to the doctor. They cannot afford the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs. They're worried about climate change and what that will mean for their kids and future generations. That is where we are right now. And the American people say, we elected you guys. Do something. Improve our lives. We are in pain. We are hurting. That's in red states, Republican states, it is in Democratic states, it is in rural America, it is in urban America, it is black, white, Latino, Native American, Asian American. This is a country that is in pain right now. And if Democrats, who have slim majorities in the House and the Senate, we got President Biden in the White House, if we do not respond now, yes, I believe 2 years from now, the Republicans will say, hey, you elected these guys, they did nothing, vote for us, and they will win.
That's a pretty strong argument, and I have to say he's not wrong. I mean, Bernie is taking this position of, and he said this previously outside of even the context of this video, he said, look, we need to show the people who voted for Republicans that Democrats can do good. Let's do as much big action as we can so we don't end up losing control in 2 years. Let's keep going.
Things that has seemed to have been a distraction from the pain you're talking about is you on the internet over the past week. The fact that you have become a meme, the picture of you sitting at the inauguration in your mittens, thousands of memes. That's just some of them on the screen. I have to show you some of my personal favorites. Demi Moore, she put your picture in her famous Ghost scene. Jennifer Grey, you know, she played Baby in Dirty Dancing. She put you in the Corners editor. And, you know, you're even a selfie with us on election night. So my question is, are you having as much fun with this as the world is?
I am. And not only are we having fun, what we're doing here in Vermont is we're going to be selling around the country sweatshirts and T-shirts and all of them.
All right, then they get into talking about Bernie Sanders as a meme. And folks, this is about stimulus and getting 4 free stocks with Robinhood. Because why not? You can't get it anywhere else. Use the link down below. You're going to see, when you click the link, you will see it says get 1 free stock with Robinhood. That's because that's what you're going to get in the next 24 hours. Then, Robinhood has promised on February 1st to send an additional 3 stocks out. They have this buried in their terms of service for creator referral links. This is the first time they've done this kind of referral link. So I personally think they should be a little bit more clear with their link, but they've promised it. I've got it in email. I've got it documented. I've shown it on the channel before. I am so excited that you can get 4 free stocks and you don't even have to deposit money. It's insane. So anyway, do that if you have not yet. Thank you so very much for watching. Let me know what stocks you get, especially February 1st. I want to know. And folks, we'll see you soon.